Welcome to the Triple P podcast, Preds, Pucks, Pinoys, hosted by Justin Bradford and Matt Best.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Triple P, Preds, Pucks, Pinoys. Justin Bradford and Matt Best. My connection's a little unstable because my internet is currently out at home and I'm on a hotspot. So if all of a sudden I freeze and Matt takes over, that explains it right there. So we have plenty to discuss. Let's talk about the Predators. We're going to talk with NHL and COVID protocol, and then we'll make sure to give you the warning if you haven't seen it yet. We're going to talk all things Spider-Man No Way Home because we have to, and there's plenty of Preds, Pucks, and Pinoys.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's our title today, and for people watching on YouTube too, they can see just how laggy you are to start this video, but your audio sounds good, so you're okay on that front.
That's the important part for a podcast.
Yes.
So let's just jump right in. The Nashville Predators, a seven game win streak. It is only the fourth time in franchise history that's happened. It's unprecedented, too, just because of the situation the organization is in with 8 players being on the COVID protocol list, the entire actual bench coaching staff, part of the traveling party. So they're being coached by the Milwaukee Admirals coaches of Carl Taylor, Scott Ford, and assistant general manager Scott Nickel on the bench. It has been curious to see just because, I mean, they played a variety of teams during this stretch. Plenty of Eastern Conference teams, now Western Conference teams as well, including Colorado Avalanche, who are very talented, but we're also down players with one less player, Matt. And then they go in and win in overtime against Chicago as well. So overall, just 7 games in a row, especially these past 2 with the challenges they faced. What impresses you the most just about what they put together, given all the adversity?
I was just gonna say how they battled adversity, but Kyle asked me, he said, how the F is this team winning? And it just feels like it's 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% to remember that the Preds are on a 7-game win streak. It's people who don't understand that song reference will be like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Oh my God. He went there.
I think they literally did what they had to do for each and every game, which seems like the biggest cop-out answer. They don't start slow anymore, which is kind of weird to say about this team. They're beating the teams that you're supposed to beat. I mean, we talked about it earlier last week when we talked about their game against the Canadiens, that they had to beat the Canadiens. It wasn't super pretty, but they found a way to get it done. Mm-hmm. And now you're seeing what happens when they don't run into hot goalies or hot defense, when they're putting out those 40 shots a game. We said going into last week that they had to beat the Red Wings. The Red Wings were the game that they could probably lose, but then again, that was the one out of the 3 that they looked the most comfortable beating the other teams. Right. The Islanders game was close. That was a pure grit and battle game where I thought, is this what the Preds are actually like? And then they just made me look stupid because against the Devils, a great effort, and then against the Avalanche, they made the Avs look silly. And I know both teams were down players. That's without a doubt. And it's a weird situation when your head coach is now Carl Taylor, and then one of your other head coaches is an assistant GM. I think
who does have coaching experience.
That's fine, but I mean, it's not like riding a bike where if you haven't done it in a long time, you can just hop back on. I'm sure there was a few things where he's like, hey, how do I do this again kind of thing. But then again,
I mean, he coaches junior hockey. But it's very different from pro.
It's completely different. I mean, how many AHL coaches have we seen come up through the ranks and then just fizzle out in the NHL? Because they're not ready for it. Like Dallas Aikens wasn't ready when he first came up. But now after more seasoning, he's great with the Ducks. UC Saros, I think if we're going to just tack it onto one person, Saros is my MVP so far. He is elite. There are no questions about it anymore. It used to be, can Saros kind of take over and can there be a 1A, 1B situation with Saros? But now there is no hesitation. He is the guy. He is the go-to guy. And if we look elsewhere on the team, Roman Josi, I mean, that pass he had tonight, the nutmeg, that's just... How many defensemen in the league do you think have the know about to know that Tanner Jeannot is streaking down the lane and the only way to get it to him is to nutmeg it? Most other defense would try to probably skate one extra stride and pass in front of the defender. But Roman Josi said, F you, through the legs we go, and it was fantastic. I can't even think of a weakness, can you?
No, not right now. And I mean, I just want to note, especially against Colorado, the tic-tac tape passing on the power play, when they were able to work that puck around and then get it down to Colton Sissons down low, who centered it and passed it into the home area to Tanner Jeannot to pop it in. Like, that's the kind of puck movement we haven't seen on the power play in so long. Yeah, the power play's been good overall this season, but that right there, the puck movement to whip it around and get the goaltender out of position, that's what a power play should be doing.
Yeah.
And we're seeing them do that. It's not just that they're long firing shots or making it in, is they're making the right moves with the puck to get players and goalies out of position, because that's what the power play is all about. When there's one less player, it means you can open up lanes if you have the right puck movement. That's exactly what you're supposed to be doing on the power play, is cross ice passes when you have a clear passing lane, or such quick puck movement around that guys are easily out of position to open up a clear shooting lane. That's exactly what happened, because Tanner Jeannot, even though he was being defended near the crease, right in the center area, the goaltender, Francouz, was not able to reposition himself from all that passing to make a play on the puck. And so that's what you want to see, is these guys making passes. And then Colton Sissons, these past 2 games, just stepped up like he did in the Western Conference Final, playing number 1 center role, but he's getting more special teams time in the power play. He's playing as a number 1 center. And obviously, the longevity is that he's not going to always be that. But for right now, while he has to, he is stepping up into that role very, very well and doing the things he needs to do, which is win faceoffs, score some goals, set his teammates up really well. Another player that's standing out well right now, too, is Alex Carrier. Against the Avalanche, had 2 primary assists as well, and his numbers are looking fantastic right now, too. The young guys and the depth guys are showing up when the major pros are out, the veterans are out. When you're missing Ryan Johansson, Matt Duchene, Mikael Granlund, all those guys, I mean, that's a top line right there, potentially. And they're out, your depth has to score, and the depth has slowly been creeping in with the Yakov Trenin, your Tanner Jeannot, your Eli Tolvanen getting in there. So it was perfect timing for the depth to start heating up, because they had to. Because we've talked about it plenty of times where depth scoring was an issue. It was so top heavy. Well, now the depth is scoring, so you have that little bit of evenness out, that when everybody is healthy and back in where they can play, you hope that continues, because then it's going to be really difficult to stop 3 rolling lines of scoring. Compared to just 1 or 2 lines, 1.5 lines of scoring, and then just Roman Josi being Roman Josi, Saros being elite. The team is on a roll. I mean, 7 in a row is almost unprecedented for the Nashville Predators, and now they're only 1 point out of first place in the division. I did not think we'd be saying that as we approach the third way mark through the season.
I mean, what we looked at last week when we were on the show is that they were 1 point away from 7th place. They're 2 points away from 7th place, 1 point away from 6th, while they were standing in 3rd place. And our biggest qualm was, Philip Forsberg's doing good since coming back from injury. Matt Duchene has been on another level. Granlund's been great. And it's just, our question was, can the depth kick in? And the answer was no. And now the answer is yes, which leads me to this question. Is this team for real? And I know it seems like a kind of stupid question, because you just said they're 1 point out at first, and then you followed it up with the ever so knowing phrase of, it is a third way through the season.
Right.
And they're in arguably one of the harder divisions in hockey. Anything can change. One injury to Saros, this team plummets. I think that's super fair to say. Colorado, when they get everyone back, hot streak. St. Louis, when Binnington comes back, hot streak. Winnipeg, that's a different story, because...
You mean Binnington, who scored a goal on himself?
Yeah, that Binnington. Did you see Malcolm Subban save tonight, by the way, while we're talking about goalies?
I have not seen it yet, no.
Okay, after the show, watch it. He saves it. Remember Vasilevsky, how he saved it behind his back with his glove?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Subban tonight.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, that's one of the only good parts of the Sabres. But yeah, my question to you is this team for real? Like, the way they're playing right now, they're poised for a top 3 finish in the division. That means they're going to beat out one of St. Louis, Colorado, Winnipeg, or Dallas. Dallas now, to me, isn't that much of a contender because they're 11 points back, but 11 points back means Nashville goes on a 4-game losing streak, Dallas goes on a 5-gamer, and it flips quickly. So a third way through the season, I guess, the question is this for real?
So when you say for real, the way I read this is based on what our expectations were going in.
Yes.
And how far we think they can go. For real in terms of they figured out how to play, be competitive, they're a playoff team. That's what they are. This is a playoff team.
Yes.
I don't want to say they're a contender or anything like that because there's still so many question marks when it comes to that. But this team is a playoff team right now because they're playing like they deserve to be in the playoffs, that they are going to be competitive. They would not get swept in a series. They can be in games. They can score timely goals. They can have timely saves. All those are the makings of what a playoff team is, are teams that can come back. They can face adversity in overtime. They can have depth scoring. You can have elite goaltending. I don't want to put anything on a pedestal or try to pull it back, but I want to be real about it too, is that youth can be good and youth can be bad in the playoffs. It goes both ways. Youth can be huge for you, or youth can be a detriment to you. It's all about balance. We've talked about that so much, about balance. This team as it stands is way more balanced in terms of contracts and in terms of age and everything than they've been in the past, which we've talked multiple times about how you need a balance of those big contracts, those middle contracts, and a bunch of guys in their ELCs that are performing outside their wits to have a successful playoff team. They have that right now. They have the makings of it right now, but you can't say for real as a contender. Right. It's way too soon for that. But this is a playoff team because even in adversity, they're finding ways to win, and good teams find ways to win. This is a good team right now. They are a good team.
I just think the biggest thing surrounding the Preds right now is people will look at the standings and, for lack of a better term, will get all horny that they're a point out of being first in the Central, right? I mean, you look and you go, my team is number one. My team is the best. It's like, well, let's temper expectations a little bit. It's not, we're not poo-pooing on the team. I think they finished.
Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, enjoy the ride. So
enjoy it.
You were talking about youth and like wily vets and things like that. Which team is more, and I'll use the phrase again for real, the Ducks in first in the Pacific with 39 points, or the Preds in second in the Central with 39 points? It like, they're both so eerily similar in terms of how they're built.
Very much.
Both have stellar goaltending. John Gibson, people have been like, I don't know if he's good, and he's always been good. It's just his team's been shit.
I have my answer.
Troy Terry and Zegras have been great together. Sonny Milano has been fantastic. They have good wily vets. They have the Shattenkirks of the world. They have those kinds of players. Cam Fowler, Drysdale, like they have that good of a mix. And then Nashville is the same thing. They have a great mix as well. Out of these two teams, though, like if we're pulling them out of their divisions and saying which one is better than the other, if I was an NHL GM, I would want the Ducks team, just because I think their youth is a little better.
Well, the youth overall is a little better, but
in terms of this year, though, if I were to go like one team, which one goes further in the playoffs? If the playoffs start today, I take the Preds, no questions asked.
I do, and I do too. And the reason why is because of experience in a deep run.
Yes.
This team has veterans that have that experience, that still have a chip on their shoulder of what it was like to lose in 6 games to the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2017. Yes. And it's just enough guys. It doesn't have to be the whole team. We saw what can happen when the whole team wants to get the band back together.
Yeah.
But they have enough guys that are a part of that run to be like, this feeling sucks.
Yeah.
Let's go get this shit done.
Whereas
it's the leaders on the team too.
Yeah, and we're not discounting Ryan Getzlaf or anything either.
No, but the Preds own Ryan Getzlaf.
Yeah, well, a lot of teams own Ryan Getzlaf, and it's kind of sad now.
I'm just saying. I mean, the Preds own the Ducks, so
yeah,
that's why I give them the pass as well.
If we're going 5 years in the future, which team do I think will be better? Probably the Ducks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, when you have that kind of talent,
right,
youth.
Yes, but I mean, this year, slugfest, one-on-one kind of thing, which team would I take? It's the Predators, and it's for the reasons you said. Like, there is no Roman Josi on the Ducks. That, like, you can love Cam Fowler, you can love Drysdale, you can love those guys, but they're not Norris contenders, and not even close to it. Troy Terry is just an anomaly this year that I hope continues, because it's so fun watching him. Trevor Zegras kicked his game up to the next level that I kind of wanted to see Tolvanen kick his game up to.
Yeah. Right.
But the collaboration of the rest of the parts and pieces from the Preds equates out to like a Trevor Zegras, which is fine with me.
Right. Yeah, totally. So let's move on to NHL and COVID protocol, and holy crap, what a mess it has been in this. And I'll preface this with saying, we're not going to get into discussing the vaccine or anything like that, but what I more want to hear, and I love your Grogu mug, bro.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
That is fantastic.
Where's
the
camera?
So cute.
It has snack on this side.
I love it.
Attack on that side.
Oh, my God.
And then protect on this side.
Oh, my God, I love that. Okay. Distracted me there. But what I want to discuss...
Have you seen this up here, too?
Oh, I have. Oh, trust me, I have. Golly, they're everywhere. Is... the frustration amongst fans the teams, the players, and everything due to the inconsistency and the lack of planning by the league. That's where I think most of it is coming from. Yes, I see laugh reactions to everything when a postponement happens, and whether you agree with things or not, it's more of there's a lack of consistency in messaging that is absolutely frustrating the shit out of everyone when we are already in a compacted schedule because of the Olympics, which we don't know if the players are going to go there yet, and multiple players have put out statements of high uncertainty. These are pretty well-known players, whether they want to participate in the Olympics or not, due to what could happen to them in China if they go, to be taken away from their team. So there's so much inconsistency there about the policies, the protocols, and what is going on. Obviously, we do not know who's symptomatic or asymptomatic. I mean, a majority of them, I'm assuming, overwhelming majority, are asymptomatic because of certain reasons, which is good, and that's what you want. That was the whole reason why. But still, the league has been inconsistent with what's happening to a postponement, what constitutes a postponement, why things get postponed, and there's still so many games that have been postponed that aren't even close to being rescheduled yet. I mean, the Predators and Senators game from last month has still not been rescheduled. That's 3 weeks ago.
I feel like the plan is that they kind of saw this coming, and they're going to go, May is the COVID month. Let's put all the rescheduled games in there.
Which going to postpone, push the season back a month.
And push the season back a month again and do what they did. But they've already released the dates for the draft and all that, so if it goes even further, they're going to have to push that shit back too.
And arenas are filling up with other activities too. That's why the Olympic break, a lot of these arenas have filled it up with concerts and other stuff.
I was going to say, can't do shit. There's no workaround. I think just from like a Canadian perspective of things, it's a gong show here, and I don't want to dive into that, but the way Ontario is handling like postponements and just halving the crowd sizes for these events is kind of effed up. We've already hit our F word cap, so I had to sound like a 3-year-old there. So Leaf games, Raptor games, Leaf games, Raptor games, Senators games are all working at 50% capacity. Leaf games, they announced the upcoming one, they will not be serving food or drink there. So you're just going to show up and put your mask on and watch.
For 2.5 hours?
Yep. So if you can't be served food or drink, they're basically going, if you take your mask off, we can kick you the hell out of here. But to me, like, I go to a game to have a drink, regardless of if it's water or a beer or a Caesar or any of that. Like, within 2.5 hours of you sitting at your desk, sitting somewhere at work, you have a sip of water.
They're setting themselves up for a lawsuit from a diabetic.
So, and what they did with their tickets, so I bought my dad tickets for his birthday, and we were supposed to go at the end of January. They were like, okay, give us 24 hours to figure this out. So their whole figure it out is, if you bought your tickets as a season ticket holder and that's how you have your tickets, good for you. You can keep it. Everyone else, go F yourselves. You're going to get a ticket refund. But I bought my tickets through Ticketmaster on a resale, and I think I bought it from a season ticket holder, and my tickets aren't gone yet, but it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Also, I'd rather sell my tickets than go to a game that I can't eat or drink at.
See, this is where it's getting ridiculous because we don't know, and there's so many. Calgary's already 6 games.
Yeah.
Making up 6 games in a condensed season. There's so many back-to-backs. So I even said this on the Preds pregame show on Friday night. Yeah, so tonight when we're recording on Friday after the Blackhawks game, that my concerns was coming into of not just fatigue, but injury. You put all these back-to-backs and everything, and these guys don't have any time to recoup and everything. More injuries are going to happen, and then you're going to have a PA problem. And the PA is going to get in there, the PA that probably should have been doing more anyways when it comes to so many things protecting its players. Anyways.
Well, speaking of the
so many problems.
Speaking of the PA, I mean, you heard what Jonathan Drouin said, right?
No.
On Francais, he was like, I don't really feel comfortable playing against teams that have all these like COVID issues right now. And so if one player will say that, how many other players do you think are thinking it?
Well, look what Nick Cousins tweeted, right?
Yeah, and like Nick Cousins isn't a big household name. I mean, like if you watch hockey, you know who Nick Cousins is because he's played for different teams. You've probably seen him play your favorite team kind of thing. And that made huge news, like mobile alert huge news, which is kind of crazy. I honestly expected a pause. That's what I thought.
Three teams did.
I thought like there was I thought there was going to be like a full season Christmas pause where January 1st or January 2nd, like around that time frame, All right, we'll go again. We'll let everybody
Get back to the Winter Classic.
Right.
Basically.
Like, here, we'll restart with this, and on our way we go. If you were the commissioner, I feel like that's a heavy question.
Hit me with it.
If you were the commissioner, what would you have done? Like, in terms of canceling games or, like, postponing the season so far, what would you have done?
Here's my thing. It's very apparent that the message was not clear about how the league is going to fully handle outbreaks and breakthrough cases, because most of these are breakthrough cases, because the league is like 99% vaccinated.
Yeah.
So they're breakthrough cases. It was obviously not clear on that. No matter what you think about the vaccine, the league has done it. There's that.
Yes.
So let's get through that already. Just accept that for what it is. And now the whole point that they sold the players on was that you get vaccinated so you can play. Okay? That's what they sold the players on, to encourage them to get the shot and everything. Now, obviously, Matt and I are both vaccinated. We have our own opinions on that, too.
I got my booster on Monday, or I'm going for my booster on Monday.
Good for you, man. And now, if you don't agree with that, that's okay.
That's
okay,
fine.
We're at this point, whatever.
Yeah.
But they sold the league. The league sold this to the players as, get vaccinated so we can have a season. The PA and the players like, okay, we understand, but there's plenty of players that obviously did not agree with that. But now they're postponing games for breakthrough cases. And to me, the whole point of this was that they don't have symptoms. If they do, then they are not in there. But if they don't have symptoms, that's the whole point of you either play on, or it's the daily testing was getting me going. I'm not doing the whole thing of, we'll stop the daily testing, but they sold the league on this. Had they not done that, then we probably would have had a game shortened season to allow more breaks in between for makeups. But they went with full 82 games because they sold everyone. They would pack them in an Olympic break season, pack them in, and then like, oh, we're gonna have to make up games. There was a huge discrepancy somewhere where somebody missed the boat when it came to planning of communication with this, because you sold the players on one thing, and now it's not happening. Now you have all these postponements. Some people feeling uncomfortable, obviously, and for very good reason, and then others are just like, "Well, play on." So there is a huge thing that was missed between the league and the PA here that has just that was not resolved before the season started. This, but you know what? F it. We're gonna do this thing. We'll figure it out when it gets there. Okay.
It feels like everything revolves around money.
And it does.
I feel kind of not dirty saying that, but it's just like, if you're gonna make your league revolve around money this much through all of your actions, can you try and hide it? Like a tiny bit. Like, right? Don't make it so painfully obvious that, like, my mom will come up to me and be like, why isn't the NHL, like, stopping games? Because she's watching the news, like, when she's cooking and stuff like that. And then she's like, oh, it's the money. And I was like, holy shit. Like, you know this. And my mom's not a big hockey fan by any means whatsoever. It just all stems around money. It's like, how far can we push it where we're still making income, but we're pissing off some people. And now we're pissing off more people. And now we're pissing off governments. And now we're pissing off the players. And it just feels wrong. Like, it feels like the NHL is just going, ha ha ha, make us money, thanks.
There are so many instances in the past 2 years where the NHL as a league has shown their complete incompetence to take care of what needs to be taken care of, to show good faith, to show they understand, are empathetic to things, to show that they truly do want to grow the game, to show so many things. They've shown complete incompetence in so many factors that it makes you wonder, do they truly want to grow this sport? Do they truly want more fans? Do they truly want more people to be in love with this sport? Or are they happy with the status quo? And as long as they're making money, as long as they're kind of in the green and not in the red, that if they're in the black, that they're doing okay. Because that's certainly what it seems like. They just don't, there's no care about doing the right thing all the time.
I feel like they kind of just went, F your feelings. We care about money this season to stay afloat.
Bing bong.
And it's just going to be like in a year from now, Gary Bettman will he won't come out and say this obviously, but it'd be like, well, the league's not under, and I know you're all not pissed, and I know you're all pissed off, but at least we still have the NHL. And it's like, man, if the CFL can survive, the NHL can survive. After the CFL almost went under, the Canadian Football League, for those who don't know what the CFL is, if the CFL can freaking survive the pandemic and all these variants in Canada, where the Prime Minister is the Prime Minister and the Premier of Ontario is the Premier of Ontario, without getting very political. The NHL can survive if they do a bit of goodwill. It just feels like, I talked about, remember the name of the percentages earlier, it feels like there's 90% let's make money and 9% let's pretend to give a shit, and then 1% I kind of give a shit. Like, that's how it looks like on surface value. And then because we're connected and we've dug in, we've looked at everything and the way they've handled it, that's how it actually is.
And I mean, this goes along with so many things, not just COVID, but the Blackhawks with Kyle Beach, the NHL with Kyle Beach, and with John Doe number 2, and all the bullshit around that too, and what has gone on there, and how it's just been a lot of it's trying to be swept under. So many things when it comes to with racial equality, so many things with gender equality. I mean, there's so many different things where the NHL has made little steps in the right direction, where it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Well, they did one thing right. They finally tried to set a precedent on suspensions and gave Jason Spezza a 6. And I was like, that's pretty good. And then they were like, you know what? You can have 4. And then the headline was like, Bettman upholds suspension, reduces to 4. Like, that's not upholding.
That's not upholding.
Like,
how this works.
You can uphold a suspension, but they do one good thing and they're like, how do we fuck ourselves today?
Yeah,
let's do this, and this, and make ourselves look like assholes again. It's a good thing we're not sponsored by the NHL podcast either.
No, definitely not. I'm past that boat. The ship has sailed.
It's mind-boggling. I mean, you compare it to other leagues that we know and love. The NFL kind of botching it right now, postponing games for later in the week. Would you just cancel the game and do it right? Like the Browns. The poor Browns, already suck because Baker Mayfield's a sieve. But they have so many players that can't play. The Patriots, their running backs decimated. Like, every team around that league. But they're all just like, nah, we're still going to field our giant-ass practices. And we're still going to try and spread it. Like, those are 2 money-hungry leagues. The NBA somehow is doing okay. And I don't get it, because out of all the other sports, the NBA, like, you wear a jersey and shorts and shoes. The NHL, you got pads, a helmet, a visor. The NFL, you got pads, helmets. Like, you have all this equipment. The NBA is where the most transmission is. But the numbers don't show it, which is mind-boggling. It
because
also
of how
helps,
often you're right on top of each other,
exactly,
too.
And it also helps that they have the best commissioner in all Big Four, in Adam Silver. That guy is the GOAT compared to all the other schmucks. Baseball's on strike. We won't compare them. But it just feels like it's between the NHL and NFL of who can mismanage the league the most.
When the next collective bargaining agreement comes along,
I'd love to be a fly on the wall.
Oh boy, there are going to be so many things that I assume and hope will be brought up by the PA when it comes to how things have been dealt with, because there's going to have to be so much pandemic planning for when the next thing happens, which may not be for, during that actual CBA, which you have to prepare for it.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing too of these teams having to play with less players than the roster allows you to have because of COVID protocol, because they're non-roster players, but they still count against the cap. So you're not able to call up the players that you need, and you have to play games with 1 or 2 short. What is this, beer league?
Yeah. Like the flexibility, to go back to the big sports and how they're handling it. The NBA has a clause, I completely forget what it's called, where they're allowed to sign players because of how shitty the situation is. I forget what it's called, but they have that clause. That's why Isaiah Thomas is part of the Lakers right now after coming out of the G League. I wish I remembered the name of it. But anyways, the NHL is like pussyfooting around it and just not giving a taxi squad where they should be. That should have been a thing from the start of the season. It's not like the pandemic went, we're going to leave the NHL alone now.
We knew there were going to be breakthrough cases. We just knew. Naturally.
The taxi squad was such a good idea and it worked so well, and you didn't need to change much to it. Just implement it again so this doesn't happen and you don't go, well, we got to panic. There's another layer of, we can still play the game. Like, there's that added layer of that. But without the taxi squad, there's nothing to fall back on, and you just look like a dumbass. Whereas the NBA is having this stupid clause that I can't remember the name of, and it's really pissing me off. And they're allowing like players from the G League to sign on exceptions for 10 days, and it's not a 10-day contract. And NFL rosters are so big that it's fine, just practice squads.
Right, and you have a practice squad.
But the NHL is just like, no, we're stubborn. We're not letting you do any of these fun exceptions. We're not giving you a taxi squad. And, like, it's past
Especially
the point.
when you have a farm team. You have a farm team.
It's past the point now where they can implement a taxi squad, I think.
Oh, it is. But that's where there should be cap relief.
Salary
cap relief on emergency loans.
Yes.
When it's an emergency loan, you should have cap relief.
Yeah, like if I've buried a player in the minors and he's making let's say 2.1 on an NHL level contract kind of thing, he should be able to come up for fine if, like, Colton Sissons is your first line center kind of thing. Like, what else do you want to see where the team is hurting so much? 7-game win streak, they're not hurting that much, but you should have these exceptions where, yeah, my team needs this, let me go over the cap. If teams are allowed to exploit the LTIR the way they do going into the playoffs,
exactly,
how the hell is this not allowed right now?
Can you imagine if the Predators didn't clear cap?
Right? Like
they're lucky right now that they were being able to play with a full roster, at least through call-ups, because other teams aren't as lucky. And it's not like they shouldn't be getting punished because they're playing close to the cap. As long as they're not over the cap, they should not be punished for being a cap team. Yet they are being punished for being a cap team. Whereas the Predators had millions and millions of dollars of cap space, they can call guys up and it's still not hurting them because they have plenty of cap space available to play these call-ups on two-way contracts like that, so they're not getting hurt when they're under $1 million a player. It doesn't affect them that much. But then you have other teams like a Carolina or a Colorado that they're playing within the means of the cap, but they can't call players up to replace players that can't even play
and also,
because of COVID protocol.
At the end of the day, we're talking about players who aren't on the NHL team for a reason. It's not like you're calling up the next Austin Matthews or the next Roman Yossi. Like, that's not happening.
We've been hiding Trevor Zegras in the AHL.
Also, the Isaiah Thomas contract thing is called the hardship exception. The NBA hardship exception.
Like when you have to get a license when you're younger.
Yeah, it's a hardship. It's named properly, and I just, it makes no sense that it's not in other leagues, because you don't see people clawing at Adam Silver's head. You see everyone wanting to get a piece of Bettman right now.
Right. Well, and the thing is, because it makes sense because the league's been able to continue to go on, and they're making their money.
Well, it just makes no sense to me, because I get it. Like, the TV deal is how they're going to make money too, but the Leafs are going to lose so much money by having no concessions whatsoever.
You take out concessions in alcohol sales? Oh.
Well, any of the people in the suits and the platinums that are mostly season ticket holders through their companies only go there to get drunk. They don't go there to watch
it's a social
the game.
event.
Right. And so what are they going to do? Go for the love of the game after their 5 o'clock meeting on Bay Street in Toronto? I don't think so. Like, that's not going to happen. They're going to go, well, I don't care. And then their capacity is going to be slightly lower than it should be because they won't technically sell out. It's,
right.
I don't know. We could sum up the last 15 minutes of this talk with it's a shit show.
It is a shit show. We just had to vent a little bit.
Yeah.
Just had to get that out there. Okay, folks. So at this point, you probably want to turn this off and come back, unless you've seen Spider-Man No Way Home, which it's only been out now for 2 days. But we have to talk about it while it's fresh. So at this point, spoiler alert. There are spoilers coming
many times.
There are so many spoilers coming. We're going to talk in depth about Spider-Man No Way Home right now. So bookmark this, come back after you see the movie to listen to our discussion. And then even if this is like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks after that you finally see the movie, Kyle, then make sure you tweet us or message us, especially message us, so you don't tweet out the spoilers. And we're more than happy to discuss what we're talking about here. So don't feel like if you haven't listened to this immediately that you have to wait a few weeks before you see it, Kyle, that you can message us later to discuss this. Okay, Kyle?
When is he supposed to go see it?
Well, he because of a job and kids, he has no way to see it in the next couple weeks.
Sucker.
And I hate it for him. I truly hate it for him.
Oh.
I hate it. So I hope somehow he can find a way to see it. I was like, do I need to come up there and steal you and take you to movies? Like, you find a way, something for my kids.
We'll give them a tablet. Kids like tablets. They can just
kids
sit
like tablets.
They can sit on that for a couple hours.
But spoiler alert, again, spoiler alert, Spider-Man No Way Home. Mr. Best. First of all, I want to start off, we got some Pinoy pride.
Man, I was
Spider-Man.
so fired up over that. It was accurate, which was freaky as shit.
Oh, yes.
When she was like, can you clean the cobwebs up in the corner? I was like, no way. I was like, someone on this production team is definitely Filipino and definitely
doubt.
knew what they were doing, because
We got Tagalog spoken in a Spider-Man movie.
it was incredible. The only thing I wish is that, no, I mean
Subtitles
subtitles would have taken it away, because when Ned was like relaying it back, that's kind of what made it
more
funny.
Yeah,
But I understood like parts and pieces, so I'd have a
Same.
little like haha right before everyone else laughed. And
but he said Lola, and that's I'm like, oh,
yeah, so I didn't know Ned is Filipino, like in real life. I forget his real name.
Jacob Batalon. Yeah,
But yeah, he is full Filipino, and like
Yeah.
he's from Hawaii. They never referenced it in any of
right.
the other
It's never been
Spider-Man
an actual thing.
So
right.
when
He
this
said he
happened,
lives with his grandmother.
yes, and they could have easily made him Hawaiian. They could have easily just made him any kind of like island Asian, right, for the plot hole.
Right.
But they kept him as Filipino, and I thought that was cool as shit. It was really cool to see like our culture in Marvel again.
Yeah, and the actual language being spoken too that we don't even know fully.
Yeah, I look like an asshole when I try and speak it, but that was so cool. And like, did you notice that the house was decorated like a typical Filipino house as well?
Oh yes,
like the cabinet there with all like the little knickknacks inside, like the jewelries and things like that.
Actually, I'm going to see it again tomorrow morning, and I'm going to pay more attention now because I was just an information overload. I want to see if there's a wooden spoon or fork on the wall.
I bet you there is.
There's got to be, especially if there's someone that's in the production crew that knows Filipino culture. There's got to be more of those little things.
I mean, yeah,
on the set there that I want to pay. That's why I go see movies multiple times and experience them in different formats, is so I can find the little details.
So we came out of I dragged my girlfriend to see it. I forced her to watch. She says I didn't force her, but I know I did. I forced her to watch the 2 previous Tom Holland Spider-Mans the night before, and at the end of the concert, at the end of the show, I was like, did you listen to the last podcast where I kind of made fun of Justin for going to see a movie several times, like 10 plus times? She's like, yeah. I was like, I would definitely see this movie again and again. I'm like, this is the one movie that I've seen recently that I have the inkling to go, yeah, I'd go see that again. Just because, like you said, there's so many things. Now that I know what's coming in the movie kind of thing, it's like, are there hints before it that I can pick up on? Or like you said with Lola's house, are there like little knickknacks and like the wooden spoon and things like that I can go look for? That's like, I want to be a super sleuth when I go now this time.
Yeah, there's gonna be so many Easter eggs in it. So let's kind of just start from, I don't want to say from the top because we're going to jump around, but the things that stuck out to me, and you know I get full nerd with this. This movie finally gave us a coming of age for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Whereas in Tobey's and Andrew's, their coming of age started really early, whereas Tobey's with Uncle Ben's death and having to make choices and everything too. And even Green Goblin being killed in that first movie as well, with him and him being blamed by Harry, Spider being blamed. And then Andrew Garfield's version, finding about more truth about his parents, and then Gwen Stacy dying and he could not save her and everything. We hadn't had that. We had Iron Man dying, but that's a little different because he was a dad-like mentor to Tom's Spider-Man. But even though there was love there, it was not the same as losing Aunt May, who I had an inkling someone's gonna die. Like
Someone
there
was
had to
dying.
be a death in this film, and it was either gonna be Aunt May, Happy, MJ, or Ned. One of those 4 was going to die. But they did it, I think, the right way to give more connection to the other 2 Spider-Men because the character arc was needed for him to develop, to make hard choices, for him to come of age and to grow up, because he has been that helpless kid a little bit to where he's just a little nerdy, and we got a little bit more nerd in Far From Home when he's designing the suit and everything, and they talk about the multiverse and stuff like that in the first interaction with Mysterio. But here we got to fully see him come into his own as Peter Parker, the extremely intelligent human.
Yeah.
And in that character arc, with the loss of Aunt May and getting all those different things, the interaction with the other Spider-Man and hearing their differences, and even having to make the difficult choice at the end for Doctor Strange to cast that spell, we finally saw him come of age to where it sets it up for the next trilogy so well that we can get back to the story of Spider-Man and not him being an Avenger or being the new face of the Avengers. It's going to be Spider-Man stories leading up to the next big battle more than anything else. I know it's kind of covering broadly before I hand it back to you, Matt. But that's what I enjoyed, I think, the most was the character writing and the development, because we got to see him develop more with MJ, with Ned. They got their screen time as well and got their scene stealing parts in there. We got to see great chemistry with him and Zendaya's MJ, which is fantastic. And even just his interaction with the different villains, we got to see each of the other two Spider-Man get their redemptions as well by helping to save Mr. Osborn and helping for Andrew Garfield Spider-Man to save MJ when she was falling, unlike he was not able to do with Gwen Stacy. And the emotion in that as well was fantastic.
As soon as Andrew Garfield like finally appeared, and I thought of the trailer immediately of like the scene where Tom Holland's trying to save MJ, and I was like, he ain't saving her. No. I was like, that's Andrew Garfield that's gonna get to do that. I just, out of the 4 people that you listed that you were like, one of them's gonna die, I definitely didn't think it was gonna be MJ at all. I didn't think they were gonna kill Ned, because I don't feel like that was as impactful as killing like your aunt kind of thing. So when that scene happened, I was like, oh, she's dying. I was like, that's what's happening here. It feels different, this trilogy, compared to the Garfield saga and compared to the Tobey saga, because in the first Spider-Man with Tobey, you get MJ right off the bat. Like, this is her, this is his love interest, and this is the focus of the movie, go on. The first out of the 3 with Tom Holland, you don't get Zendaya until like the very end, pretty much. Like,
she's there as a side character.
Yeah, it's like, oh, who is this? And you get like, oh, my friends call me MJ. It's like, oh, I see.
It builds to her.
And then I think like the one point that you touched on that I think was the most important part of this whole movie was that MJ and Ned actually got to grow as characters, and they actually got to not only have like fun and witty lines and things like that, but actually were able to impact the MCU. Like,
yeah, they had a role.
Right. They had a major role in. They had to go to, what was the university that they were trying, or the college? MIT. I was gonna say MCU. That's the only acronym stuck in my head. That they were trying to go to MIT, and that their decisions, or like their persons themselves, are affecting Spider-Man and how he has to go, and like that affects the whole movie. It's just it was good. Like, there's no flaws from the onset that I can think of.
No, it's one of those films that lived up and beyond its hype, and you don't get that often.
No, like,
you really don't. Like, there's so much hype for this film, and it has lived up to it.
All the villains showed up. Doc Ock finally had like, he finally had his nice moment of, I'm trying to save people again. Like in Spider-Man 2, he got his moment of like, oh no, what have I done? I'm a bad guy.
Full redemption.
But now he gets his full like, hey, screw you moments, and it's like, that's kick ass.
And then even the glow up with Electro and Jamie Foxx being able to play on his dark humor a little bit more too.
That was the Black Spider-Man joke was one of the funniest things.
Movie. Which is a little tease to Miles Morales potentially.
Yes,
popping up. But then in terms of villains, Willem Dafoe. We knew in Tobey Maguire's first Spider-Man the Green Goblin and how he was a good villain, but in this one where he did not wear the mask and you see his face
so good
through it, and the Jekyll and Hyde type of switches that he had, it made him a fantastic villain because he was creepy, he was evil, he had full evil intents, and what was it? Oh gosh, he's on sabbatical, honey. That line. Yeah. Oh my god! Like it was good writing as well, because you had there's cheese, but it wasn't overly cheesy. Like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man were fine for its time; they were good for its time.
Yeah,
on everything. But this took it to a new level with new technology and everything as well. And I love how throughout this, with the references before we even get to the memes and pop culture, that there was an understanding of how those movies took place when they did, because of how many things changed. Because we talk about the suits and about the technology
and about where the web is coming from.
Where the web's coming from. And Electro even talking about how there's even more power in this universe because the city's bigger and there's different things that create more energy and power and stuff, that he sensed that as well. So it was just one of those things too, that they're fully aware of so many different things that people would be questioning. And I'm sure once we get more and more into it, there's people are going to find little plot holes here and there, which is just going to happen with a movie that brings in this much from so many different areas. But overall, this is a near perfect superhero movie with the full character arcs, with how you got emotional with it as well. And I think this is one of those films too that it can stand on its own from even the other Spider-Man movies, that there's going to be plenty. This is the kind of movie that's going to draw people in that have not seen other MCU movies. Maybe they've seen the Spider-Man movies, or maybe they saw the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, or maybe they saw the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. They want to see what this one is like. They're going to have seen those and come in on its own and not be an MCU overall fan, and that's fine. That's what's going to make this money, and that's people are going to get interested and connected to, because it did a fantastic job of bringing those characters back to life, and then addressing so many things like Andrew Garfield and acknowledging how shitty his movies were, basically.
That was amazing.
And then making fun of that with the villains and everything,
and
too.
With Tobey Maguire being like, you're amazing. You're amazing. I was laughing so hard.
Man.
And like, not a lot of people were giggling at that part. And I was like,
oh, God.
Why aren't you giggling? I was like, they're referencing
Like,
clearly how shitty that those two movies were.
And the awkwardness with Ned when Toby told him that his best friend tried to kill him.
Yeah, and he's like...
died in his hands.
He just runs away from the chair. He's like, okay, and just gets out of there. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's so many... And we even got the point meme. The three guys pointing at each other.
Okay, so when was that?
When they're in the lab and Ned says, hey, Peter.
Hey, and okay, I didn't catch...
And they're all just like pointing at each other. So it's very minor.
I didn't see
like,
the point. I just heard like the...
Yes.
Me? Who? Me? And then at the
end...
end,
they're pointing at each other.
At the end credits, like, you know that animated thing that they played at the end? There was the pointing, like, direct pointing meme during that. And I was like, there it is. So I didn't see it. That's why I want to watch it again.
That's why I like the subtle claps to pop culture and memes and everything, too, because they included things we want. We got fan service without it being shoved down our throats.
Yes.
And that's what was important. Like, the great power comes with great responsibility. That's fan service, but it was important for the story.
Yeah.
Because of how it was delivered. Because when you saw Toby's reaction to hearing that, it's like, Uncle Ben said that right before he died.
Yeah, and that was for, like, Tom Holland to understand, like, every Spider-Man has this, like, oh shit moment in their Spider-Man lives where someone dies. Yeah. And it makes you who you are. And so those types of fan service moments were perfect because it gives us what we wanted and needed, but it helps drive the story. It's not fan service for the sake of fan service. That's what I think people get tired of, is when movies just put in fan service because, like, oh, we need to do this for the nostalgia. But each one of these things drove it home for the coming of age of Tom Holland's Spidey. That's why those things were so important, because he needed those things. He needed to be forced to make a decision. And that's what I thoroughly enjoyed about so much of it, too. And then, oh, gosh, there's so much within this, too, that I don't know I want to discuss. But let's go to the whole part with when the universe is breaking, Doctor Strange is on top of the Statue of Liberty, and you see the multiverse trying to break in, and there are some silhouettes of characters that we see. Rhino, I know, is one of them. Yep, Rhino is the easy one. Yeah.
And so you see some of these silhouettes, and I'm like, that's where I was hoping, where we talked about what the big surprise might be. I was hoping we might see like an X-Men or Fantastic Four tease. We didn't get that. I'm totally okay with that. But that's where it would have been, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that was great too, because it shows there's so much else that could go on with it. And then to the mid-credit scene first.
Oh, with Venom. Yes, and you know where the bartender's from?
From
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso, yes.
And I wore a Ted Lasso shirt last night to the movies. Like it's a goldfish shirt. And I was like, oh my god. And like during the mid-credit scene, I leaned over to my girlfriend. I was like, he's from Ted Lasso. Like without explaining like who Venom was or anything. And she's like, I didn't get that. I was like, okay, let me explain it. And I explained it. And I was just way too fired up that the guy from Ted Lasso was there.
So what was great about this mid-credit scene too was we get the obvious little leftover particle of symbiote left on the counter, but it also means that the MCU does not have to be tied to Tom Hardy. Like they basically leave it open to where Venom can exist with Tom Hardy, which is good because who knows if Tom Hardy wanted to play this role for that much longer, even though he makes a fantastic voice of Venom, because he is the voice of Venom in it. But it makes it to where they can still explore the Venom verse in its own path, while also introduced into the MCU and that's what's perfect with having a multiverse. You can keep it within Earth 616 by having a variant leave a part of himself behind, which is great. And so that was a nice little tease to what could happen there. Then before we go back to something I just remembered as well, then the end credit, I'm so glad they went this direction, that it wasn't
super
Cam
dope.
Gumpy. I went with Cam Gumpy and his wife, and Alex obviously came with me. And when we're talking through the credits, he's like, "Oh, this is gonna be one of those like little one-off jokes. It's going to be a joke.
Like the shawarma from the original Avengers.
Yeah, one of those things. And nope, we all of a sudden got a whole rehash of everything Doctor Strange, and then we got a fucking trailer.
Like a full trailer. Not even like a teaser coming soon. Like
we got a whole
one conversation here,
trailer.
One conversation there. It was like a legit trailer, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so good!" And
people
just
cheered when Wanda hit the screen.
Oh yeah, everyone lost their mind when. Okay, how do you feel about people cheering at the movies?
Okay, on opening weekend, especially, I go because I want to react with other people that are huge fans of things. I enjoy natural reactions as long as we're not drawn out.
Okay.
Because I want moments to be a surprise, and it's like like you hear, it's like a natural reaction. It's not tremendous applause or anything like that, but it's a natural reaction. I love that because you're experiencing something collectively as a whole, like in sports. Okay, just like in sports, when you hear that crowd like warming up because something big might happen and then a goal happens, you feel that roar coming and you just feel the hairs on your skin start standing up a little bit. Your Spidey tingle is going.
Your Peter tingle.
You get your Peter tingle going. That's what I enjoy, those moments, and I cannot wait to be in the theater tomorrow when I know what's going to happen and hear other people react to it. That gives me warm fuzzies.
It
means they're truly into the movie and it means that much to them.
Yes, I think that's fine, but I think there's also a line where you're just obnoxious as hell. And,
yes, there is.
And it's like, shut up, shut up, shut up. Like, you can cheer. I don't care. I'm not trying to gatekeep people at the movies anyways. But, like, if your reaction is to say 2 full sentences as loud as you can, shut the fuck up.
No,
like,
just reactions. Quick reactions.
There was a person a row behind us, and when Andrew Garfield appeared, she was like, oh, I'm going to pee my pants, and everyone thought that was funny. And then, because everyone laughed the first time, every other time something big happened, she would say that, and I was like, shut up. Like, cheer and enjoy it for a quick second, but we don't need your like behind the scenes DVD looks at what you're going on with right now.
Yeah, I think I said "oh shit" once, but everybody else around me, I forgot what moment it was. I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
or when they opened the portal and they said Peter, and we knew because the suit that it was Andrew Garfield's.
Yeah.
I went, "Oh my god, it's happening!"
Yeah.
Like, and because everybody was like, that's where it's good to go in those moments too, because everyone's there because they want to be surprised. They don't want to spoil. You want to have that reaction, like with Endgame, when Captain America picked up Mjolnir, when Sam said "on your left." When those things happen, those are those moments that everybody's waiting for and cheering for and wanting to experience together. That's what I miss about the movies, is collectively experiencing that. But the Doctor Strange trailer makes it to where you probably need to watch What If.
Yeah, I just, for people who haven't seen What If and haven't seen WandaVision, then they're screwed and have to watch a lot of TV real quick. But I feel like all I need to really watch is What If right now, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And I mean, Loki, you'll need to watch for Ant-Man in 18 months.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
I know. It's already finished filming, and it still has 18 months before it's released.
That's why they're so good.
Yeah. But I mean, the other thing I forgot to mention was we got a freaking Daredevil sighting in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
That was awesome.
And then he just when he catches the brick, I'm a really good lawyer.
Yeah, I thought that was incredible. I knew, like, you knew for a fact that he was going to be in it after we heard, like, he'll reprise his role in any upcoming thing, blah, 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 blah. I was like, so he's in Spider-Man. And then he shows up, I was like, he's in Spider-Man. I thought that was one of the more cool crossovers.
Oh, yeah. Have you watched Hawkeye yet? Are you up to date on Hawkeye?
No.
Never mind. Okay, so...
I have to blow my nose, by the way, which the listener won't hear,
I'll keep
but
talking.
you will. Yeah, okay.
This is going to be fantastic. So one of the things that made me the most sad was for Happy. And I know that's weird saying happy and sad at the same time, but think of the tremendous loss that dude has had in the past couple of years. And it's different because Iron Man to him was more like a brother with how that was. And then you lose the woman you love that you're infatuated with like that.
The one you had a fling with, according to May.
A fling, right. But still, I mean, they played that off well. There was obviously feelings there and more there. But I felt so bad for Happy because he doesn't have anybody now.
He has no Peter.
Because he doesn't have Peter. Because he doesn't know Peter.
He has the Avengers. That's it.
But now the questions arise that So if he was at May's grave, how did he know May?
Oh. Okay,
See?
so, well, when Doctor Strange did the spell at the end, it was so everyone didn't know Peter Parker, right?
But I didn't know Peter Parker or Peter Parker as Spider-Man. So there has to be the storyline of, well, they knew Spider-Man, and Spider-Man himself still did those appearances at Feast,
Right.
but no one ever knew his identity.
Right.
So that's going to have to be the main story as well. Plus, is that spell only applicable on Earth, or is that a universal?
That's where I think
spell?
the loophole is, because I don't know. That's what I just
Fury's in space.
He's gonna remember who he is.
You
Why
think,
would they?
the
Why would
Guardians
they? It just feels like, why would they mention that Fury's in space without that having implications? Because we've talked about this before. Marvel doesn't let lines go in that mean jack shit unless they're
Exactly.
jokes, right? So
Right.
that's why I think Nick Fury will know.
or Captain Marvel,
I was about to say Captain Marvel will know. Like
the Guardians of the Galaxy.
people will know who he is, and they'll be like, "Hey, remember this guy?" And like, my only thing is like, maybe someone has a picture of him without his mask on and can be like, "Hey, look." And that's the only thing I can think of. It leaves it open to interpretation, which is what's so cool about these movies. But someone remembers him.
And now it's going to be probably, I would say, at least 2 to 3 years.
Oh.
At least probably 3 years before we get another one, because they're going to explore some other avenues, obviously, too.
Yeah.
And it also begs the question: does that mean we're done with Jacob Batalon and Zendaya in Spider-Man? Because the way he leaves it's understanding that he could go on and just, let them live their lives, but the on-screen chemistry between those three, but especially Tom and Zendaya, yes, they're dating in real life right now.
Woo!
But the chemistry was definitely there. They worked very well together, and I think because the casting works so well, because it's fantastic to me how well those two especially can play teenagers compared to especially Toby and Kirsten.
Well, I mean,
when they were in it,
it's still kind of weird. Like, rewatching the first of the 3 Spider-Man movies, it was like, am I supposed to really believe that he's in high school? Like, some of them, it's like, Betty I could believe is in high school. Flash I could believe is in high school. Ned I could believe is in high school. MJ I could believe is in high school. And then I look at Peter Parker, I'm like, you're not in high school. Like,
but still, he's pretty young.
Yeah, he's young, but he
one.
also, like, I just think of me in, like, grade 10 or 11 or 12, and I'm like...
Oh, yeah, you look awkward.
Yeah, I was like, that's not what I looked like.
Right. So, but now now the storylines we're going to potentially explore are those nice, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man ones. That's what I'm looking forward to now in the next trilogy, and he's going to apparently be in at least one more crossover.
Okay.
So we'll see what that one is. But I like how they kind of bring it back to New York.
Yes.
In the end, where he has to be on his own, figure stuff out on his own. He's gonna grow into himself, and also, I mean, you saw that he's gonna study for the GED, take that, and then go to university.
Well, he's tried to do the on his own thing before. Remember when he rejected Stark's suit at the press conference thing?
Right.
And he's like, I'm gonna do my own thing and just go be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And now it feels like full circle. He can actually be friendly neighborhood Spider-Man
because he doesn't have anyone.
Yeah,
like, literally. Does not have anyone.
He has his suit now, and that's what he's got.
And I love how I was like, rent's due in the first of the month.
Did you also notice how that apartment looks so freakishly similar to the Tobey Maguire apartments?
Yes, absolutely.
All I was waiting for was the girl outside with cookies.
I know, man. Especially because I just watched all the previous 5 movies in the past 10 days just to prepare. So all those little things were fresh in my mind. But yeah, I can't say enough how well it was done, because Andrew and Toby were not just cameos. They played a role in the story, and that's what was important. A cameo would have been fun, but it would have been like, well, I wish I had more. No, I got what I wanted.
Yes.
We got what we wanted with this.
Like you said, it would have been cool, like, at the end, if they swooped in when the universes were breaking kind of thing, and they swooped in, were like, hey, let's help. Like, that would have been good. But the way they did it, to let them have their humor moments, to let them have their redemption stories for each of them, that was so good. We were talking about Willem Dafoe earlier. Did you know that he said that if they didn't let him do his own stunts, he wasn't going to do it?
Yep.
That's crazy. Like
He's
that's
in his upper 60s.
he's kick ass. He is so
Yeah.
good. And like all the subtle nuances that connected the movies together again, where Tom Holland's trying to kill him with the glider that impaled him previously.
Yep.
I was like,
Yep.
that's cool shit too. It was so good to me. Where do you rank this out of all the MCU movies and series that you've seen? And I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say, "Let me go watch it again." And I know.
No. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you an answer. But before I get to that, how funny was it when they're like, "We've never worked as a team," and Tom's like, I was part of the Avengers."
Oh,
That's great. What is that?
who are the
Are you in a
Avengers?
band?
Yeah,
Are you in a band? Was he in a band?
I got
in
a
band.
good chuckle at that.
Oh, it was great because it acknowledges too that they couldn't do anything else
Yeah.
with other Avengers characters because of Sony
Yeah.
with the rights and everything. That was great. Okay.
Oh, he has to have a sip of water before he gives her. All right.
Well, no. Okay. This is what I have to switch because there's so many Marvel movies and TV series now. I cannot give a number ranking. I really cannot.
Come on.
No. But there's a reason. I need to start doing tiers.
Okay, give me.
Movie.
Oh, ooh. Okay, hold on.
But do
keep
you
going.
see what I'm saying? There's going to be tier status because it's going to be so difficult to actually find a difference between when you have over 25 movies and TV series. It's going to be tough to find a difference between 1 and 5. They'll start to trail off near the end, but if I think you start doing tier rankings, it's going to be much better and more fair for argument purposes. Because is somebody really going to argue with something between 1 and 2?
I pulled up a tier maker, and I'm gonna screen share for the viewer if you're on YouTube, and you're gonna go through this list. And
Oh my God, live?
Yes, it's the best way to do it. Hold on, display capture. Oh no, I can't do that. I'll just do your tier list here, and I'll give you it's S, A, B, C, D. Okay.
So hold
S
on.
is like super tier. Here, I'll send you this link. We're doing this live.
Why can't we just do 1, 2, 3, and 4?
We're doing it live.
Okay, Bill.
We're doing it live. All right, you got the tier maker up?
Oh God, hold on.
Oh,
I gotta
shit.
pull up the list of everything first.
Click. Oh no, I sent it to you. We're good. You should have like 3 rows, and then the last row has 4 on it.
Oh, you do. It already even has the movies in here too.
Yeah. You just click and drag them.
Oh,
So the first one for you is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Second one's Ant-Man, right? Like, we're looking at the same one? Okay. You don't have to do it in that order, and we don't have to do the whole list. I just need you to I at least need to know your S tier and D tier.
Okay. Hold on. I'm having to squint. This is pretty small here on the screen.
Control scroll wheel, my friend.
Well, no. There we go. Okay, hold on. Okay, got it now. I'm on a Mac. Getting there. Do you see this happening on my screen?
No.
Like, is this something that shares with? Oh, okay.
We also can't screen share, or we'll mess up the video.
Well, shoot. Okay.
I'm just gonna follow along with you, and then audio, we're fine.
Okay, so my S tier, which is tier 1 right now, obviously I have Spider-Man No Way Home.
Right.
I have Shang-Chi.
Okay.
I have hold on, I gotta find it first before I can pop it in there. Dear God, where is it?
What are you looking for?
Wait. I'm looking for Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
That is
There it is. I found
first
it. Okay.
row, yeah.
Okay. And so Captain America and Winter Soldier, and then Captain America Civil War.
That's S tier as well.
That's S tier as well.
Okay.
And I have Black Panther.
Ooh, okay,
is an S tier.
Okay.
And then
I can't
this
find
is
Black
from
Panther.
I know it's not like in alphabetical order that I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's what. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, you've got
And
5
then-
movies in your S tier.
Yeah, hold on. Okay, my D. Let me jump down to D.
Okay,
tier.
I'd say if you put all the movies in S tier, I'm gonna scream.
No. So D, which is the bottom tier, I have Iron Man 3,
That's fun
Avenger-
though.
Avengers: Age of Ultron, Captain Marvel. Then I need to find Thor: The Dark World here.
If there was an F tier, I'd put Thor in the Dark World there.
Dark World. And then let's see. And Hulk goes down there as well. Then into my C tier, I'm going to put Ant-Man and the Wasp,
Fair.
and I'll put Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
This is the only time where we've disagreed, is there.
Okay, okay.
I would throw that B
Um,
tier.
I'm also going to put Thor in C.
That's fair.
And then I'm going to put Iron Man 2 in C as well.
Yep.
Then let's go to my B tier. Obviously, I'm leaving some out that I'm going to have to fill in, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Captain America, First Avenger will go in there. Let's see. Guardians of the Galaxy is going to go in B.
You know what I'm amazed at so far?
What?
That you haven't put Endgame in S tier.
I'm waiting. Hold on. Eternals is going into C.
Eternals
me.
into C. Okay.
Thor Ragnarok's going into A tier.
Okay. That's fair. I like that.
Black Widow is going to go into C tier.
Okay.
The first Iron Man is going to go into A tier.
Yes. Thank you. I was very worried about that one. So the remaining ones on this list, I'm very intrigued.
So Doctor Strange is going to go into B.
Really? I thought you were gonna A or S tier it because he's
For
so
Doctor Strange?
Yeah, because he's so important, and that one kind of like sets up his origin story.
He is. It's a good movie, but it's like it doesn't have me go whoa as much in terms
Right.
of what the implications of everything. Ant-Man is also going to go into B.
Fair.
Then let's see. Spider-Man Homecoming is going to go into B. Spider-Man Far From Home goes into A.
Yep. That's
Then let's
exactly
see.
how I ranked those three movies too. By the way,
Okay, that's
Like,
that's totally
Homecoming to me was, Far From Home
fair.
was,
Okay,
yeah.
let's see. Did I already say I told you to put Infinity War in A, right?
Nope, you did now.
Okay, I have Endgame in S.
Thank you.
Here's what's interesting. Overall, in terms of better movie, Infinity War is a better movie than Endgame, but Endgame has better moments that made me realize, holy crap, I love the Avengers.
Yes, because it has all the implications that get
Yes,
bottled
does
up.
that
and summed
explain
up.
myself
Yes,
well?
yes.
That's the reason why why those two are different. Okay, now Avengers 1 is going to go into A tier,
Okay.
and now we're down to TV series.
Oh
boy.
shit! I just realized that's how you did it. Nice.
Yeah, well, yeah, I did it for a reason. It's evening out really well.
Yeah,
I
you've
mean,
got 6, 5, 5, 6, 5. So you're
Yeah.
not a biased monster going, everything is S tier.
No, you come on, man. That's me.
I know.
Let's see. What If is going to go into C because the first episode was just really weak for me.
That's the only
even-
one out of this whole list that I haven't seen.
Okay, it's really good. I do enjoy it. It's just that it took some getting into.
And
WandaVision. Yes. Let's see. WandaVision is going to go in my A.
Hawkeye. Okay, that's surprising. I thought that was going to go S. I thought one of WandaVision or Loki is going S tier.
Okay. Falcon Winter Soldier is going into B.
Yep.
Let's see.
Do Hawkeye.
Loki-
Do Hawkeye.
Let me go Loki.
No, because I want to guess where Loki is.
Okay, well, this is without seeing the final episode, obviously, because they're not come out yet. Hawkeye's going into A.
Oh wow. Okay. Where is Loki?
Loki's going into S.
Thank you. Okay, that's all I really gave a shit about.
And it's all pretty even. I
Wow.
think I did a pretty good job of tiers.
I'm proud of you. I'm not even being facetious. I am proud of you. Because I definitely thought you were going to overload S tier.
Come on,
But it
man. I'm a
is-
fanboy, but I'm not ridiculous.
I'm trying to see if there's anything I strongly disagree with, like, out of all these.
I know Jeremy Gover has Age of Ultron in, like, his top 5.
Age of Ultron's fun.
It is fun, but in terms of overall movies and stuff,
Yeah, it could be better.
it has its moments and everything. Like James Spader voiced in it, I love.
The only
Bringing
thing
Vision to life and everything's cool, but yeah.
the only thing I'd change is I'd move Doctor Strange to A.
Okay,
Um,
that's totally fair.
I'd probably put Thor Ragnarok as an S. I'd probably bump Captain America and Winter Soldier down to A in its place.
Okay, see, I'm a Captain America fanboy. Like,
Yes,
I love Captain America.
Can tell.
So you can tell, yeah.
Yeah, but D tier, I have zero issues. Captain Marvel, I could slot up to see if I really wanted to.
Sure,
but
yeah.
You gotta be a D tier movie for us. Iron Man 2 was okay. That's why it's a C. Guardians of the Galaxy, I slot up to an A. Both of them go to A for me. I love those movies. They incorporate so much. I do too. Of like,
I love the first Guardians of the Galaxy especially. It's just when I start putting them against other ones, it makes it very difficult.
Oh, for sure. I just think
really does.
Out of a lot of them, like the base soundtrack, not including like your scores and things like that, Guardians of the Galaxy crushes it. Like out of all of them.
Oh yeah, especially the soundtrack.
Yes, but not scores and things like that. Like that's totally different.
Correct.
And I won't even pretend to talk about talk that I know what the hell I'm talking about when it comes to scores.
Oh, but yeah, I feel like I'm pretty fair with how I've ranked these things. It has a little bit of my bias in it, but I try to take into account the story, what it means to the MCU, what it meant for movie making in general, what it meant for having some representation as well, with like especially Shang-Chi and Black Panther, and just overall what it meant to so many different types of fans, what it meant for those characters, the types of arcs they had in there, how much implication there was to the character itself put within those films, too, what it meant for character development, story development, and plot and writing. All that goes in my head of how I rank these.
Yeah, I think you did a damn fair job.
I think so many people do, but they can't put it into words what they do.
Yes,
like, I think you did the exact same thing as I did, but I'm putting into words what was going through your head.
Yeah, and because it hurts for me to talk, I'm glad you did that. I'll screen cap this, and I will attach it as part of our tweets to promo it too.
Okay, and I'm gonna
tell me that on the show right now, but I could have told you that after. But yeah, that's for about the last 10 minutes, I kind of forgot we were recording.
I know.
I was like, just rank these movies for me, get it over with.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how people live react when they're listening and they tweet us and everything too, as I'm kind of going through the motions of this too. But folks, let us know. I mean, go to this thing, Matt. Make sure you put this link in there as well.
Yep.
So people can create their own and share it with us. I'd love to see how people rank it. And here's the thing. I'm gonna make fun of some things. Like I'll make fun of Gover because that's a complete jump where I think most people put Age of Ultron near the bottom. It's actually the worst, and his at the very top of his list. But I think overall most Marvel fans will agree in some form or fashion of the overall ranking kind of thing. That's why I love tiers. But so you can see why tiers with all these different shows and movies is starting to make more sense because there's so many. It's so difficult to say these three. What are the differences, and why is 1 through 3 the difference?
Yeah.
So
no, I would have given you much more shit if you either had like 2 S tier movies and then a bunch of like A's, B's, and C's, or if you did like 9 S tiers and no D's, and you're like, Marvel's the best. And I'm like, shut up.
Right. Well, what I do too is I start thinking of which ones do I go back to and watch the most.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean, if it's a Marvel movie, I'm gonna watch it. If it's on, I'm watching it. But which ones am I actively gonna watch more of?
Man, seeing all of these laid out though, that's a lot.
And they're all connected.
That's crazy to me.
Kevin Feige. Yeah, baby.
Like, you think about it, and it's like, yeah, the MCU is connected. But once you see all the movie posters in front of you and the like TV posters, it's kind of wild.
So there we have it. And I love how they're including the TV shows. It's very important. So, all right, folks. Well, there you have it. Let us know. Tweet us. He's at Best of Matt. I'm at Justin B. Bradford. Triple P Podcast _ Let us know your thoughts on everything we discussed in the show, whether it's from Predators and their win streak to the NHL and their COVID protocol and the silliness going on there with the inconsistencies to Spider-Man No Way Home. Make sure you message us that. You can put both of us in a group message if you want to, but please do not tweet spoilers. Please, please, please. Yes. Wait 2 weeks before we start putting that into feeds. Give the same treatment the Endgame got. Everything with don't tweet out spoilers, don't post spoilers. Message us. We're more than happy to discuss that. And we may not get to you immediately, but we will discuss with you, I promise. And especially our rankings here, too. We love to hear from you. We just love how you all interact with us. We truly appreciate that so very much.
Create a group chat with us, and we'll chat with you. John created one immediately last night. And I didn't want to say a bunch because I was like, I want to save these thoughts, too, for the podcast.
Right.
And now I can jump into that MFer and, like...
Yeah, and
we can go now. Yeah.
So, all right, folks. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time. For Matt Best, Just Bradford. Thanks so much for listening to the Triple P Podcast, Preds, Pucks, and Pinoys.
Bye.